So David Haye on the TNT broadcast after the Usyk Fury fight was asked what he would do if he were in Usyk's position, having just become undisputed heavyweight champion. And David Haye said he would retire. He said at that point, you've got nothing left to achieve. Undisputed in 2 weight classes. It can't get any better than that when you're in your late 30s. It's only going to be downhill from this point. And I 100% agree with David Haye. If Alexander Usyk is to have one more fight, I think it should be the Fury rematch. Again, I use the word if, because I'd have absolutely no problem whatsoever with Usyk walking away now, retiring now. He beat Tyson Fury fair and square. He won bare minimum 7 rounds, got the knockdown as well, makes it wider for him. Tyson Fury disrespected him, wasted damn near 2 years of his career, running away from the fight and claiming that Usyk didn't want it. A guy who's done that to you, you owe him nothing morally. So I'd have no issue whatsoever with Usyk just retiring now at the top. With the resume he has at heavyweight, would he qualify as the greatest heavyweight of all time or even top 5? No, but he's the greatest cruiserweight of all time. And he took over the heavyweight division in very short order. Not necessarily in terms of the time frame, because Tyson Fury messed him around for 2 years, but in terms of the number of fights. He just ran straight through the heavyweight division, just like he did at cruiserweight. That's a hell of a legacy to have. Pound for pound, Usyk would be known as one of the greatest fighters of all time. Maybe not the depth of resume necessarily to be the greatest heavyweight of all time, but one of the greatest pound for pound fighters of all time, because this is a multi-division champion we're talking about here. Multi-division undisputed. It's like saying, is Terence Crawford the greatest welterweight of all time? It's difficult to make that argument because he doesn't have the depth of resume at welterweight that a Sugar Ray Robinson had or whoever, or even a Floyd Mayweather. But is he one of the greatest fighters of all time pound for pound? Without a shadow of a doubt. So it would be a unique legacy if Alexander Usyk were to retire now at the top. Cleaned out 2 divisions, and to David Haye's point that it can't get any better from here, I agree. At 37 years of age, Usyk is not going to get better, folks. He didn't take anywhere near as much punishment, nowhere near as many damaging shots as Tyson Fury did in their fight last Saturday, but he still took some, and he still had a hard training camp. He's not going to be fresher later on this year or next year. Usyk actually isn't the same guy that he was when he fought AJ the first time. His first performance against AJ, not the second fight, the first fight, that's the best Usyk I've ever seen. He wasn't as good as that against Tyson Fury, wasn't as fast, wasn't as mobile. Feet weren't quite as quick at moving off to the side, wasn't as much head movement. Was still fantastically good, obviously, but he's not quite at his best anymore. Neither was Tyson Fury, of course. Even though Fury's a couple of years younger, hasn't looked after himself the same way Usyk has. But as I say, it's not going to get any better for Usyk from this point on. You've reached the top of the mountain. There's nothing left for him, as far as I'm concerned, other than a Fury fight if he wants it, just to put an exclamation mark at the end of it to assert his dominance, just to draw a line underneath it. And that's not even necessary. But other than that, I think he can easily walk away, no problem, and it would be a great way to bow out. He would go down in history as an almost perfect champion in terms of his conduct as a boxer. Not messing around and taking Mickey Mouse fights, but just going straight for the jugular in both divisions, going straight for who the best fighters are right away and coming out on top against much bigger men, especially, in the heavyweight division. To retire at 22-0, people would look back in years to come and be like, wow, he was special. The stuff that guy did, cruiserweight, heavyweight, in such a short amount of time, such a few number of fights, taking on these bigger guys in his late 30s and beating them all. Yeah, this guy was something real special. And so while he may not have the resume to be considered the greatest heavyweight of all time, people would still put him in the conversation based upon his potential, based upon the fact that we never saw him lose. Because people would say, well, yeah, he moved up to heavyweight quite late in his boxing life, right? In his 30s. Imagine if he'd moved up to heavyweight earlier. Imagine the damage he could have done in that division. Maybe he could have been the greatest heavyweight of all time. See, people will still be making those arguments. They'll be able to make those arguments if Usyk were to retire now. But if Usyk carries on and he ends up getting beat by one of these younger guys, a younger guy who may not go on to become a Hall of Famer, then it's going to be more difficult to put Usyk in those conversations. But let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Should Alexander Usyk retire now or retire after a Fury rematch if he's successful? Or would you like to see him go on for several more years? Usyk in the run-up to this Fury fight said he'd like to go on until he's 40. I don't think that's a good idea, but hey, he's his own man. Let me know what you guys think.